AMC's The Walking Dead is a very interesting show. It's seen so many characters come and go that it's kind of hard to keep track of them all. So today what I thought I'd do is I would do a tier list of these characters because I love the TV show. I think the TV show is so good, and anyone who's come to my channel watching the game and you haven't seen the TV show, I'd strongly suggest watching it. It's a lot to sit through, but it is good. And we're going to start with the Cannibal. I can't remember his name, but I think he's literally just known in as their group is called like the Cannibals or Terminus Cannibals, something like that. He's a really good villain, actually. He was the only kind of major villain between the governor and Negan that wasn't like a massive group of people. Because yeah, you had the wolves, but again, there wasn't one single leader. Whereas with the Cannibals, this guy is obviously the leader. And he was a monster. Like he was a monster. It kind of shows that The Walking Dead the show didn't do the Cannibals as well as the game. Because there should have been a little bit more suspense before they literally just threw him in as cannibals. But who knows? Who knows? Next up, we have the Junkyard Scavenger Leader. All right. Stabbed Rick in the back a couple too many times for my liking. So she's gonna go to C tier. Just because I don't have time for that. Then we have Sasha. Sasha's good. She was the catalyst for what started / ended the Whisperer War. Not the Whisperer War, the Savior War. I don't think she had to die, but she chose to. I think she was kind of still reeling the death of Abraham. So I think her death, while yes, premature, was needed for the series. Next up, we have Bob. He doesn't do a lot, does he? He just kind of exists. Yeah, I'll put him down there with the Drunk Queen. Carl. My god. Okay, Carl is my favorite character of all time within The Walking Dead. I think how Carl goes from a kid who's lost his dad, scared of walkers, scared of people, to eventually shooting Shane and putting him down when he turns to a walker, and then having to kill his mum because he doesn't want to see her suffer. My god, it is heart-wrenching. And then when he eventually dies to save Sadiq, who is actually on this list, it's just so like that's the first death in The Walking Dead that made me very upset. Not even Glenn's had that kind of impact on me. Next up, we have the original leader of Alexandria, Diana. Good character. Not the best, but not the bad. Not the worst, sorry. As characters go, I quite like her, but she just doesn't do a lot. And everyone knew Rick was going to become the leader of Alexandria anyway. So she just felt kind of frustrated that she just kind of ruined it and held it back and everything. Next up, Dwight. I'm going to put Dwight in A tier. I quite like Dwight as a character. He kind of goes from running from Negan to being manipulated by Negan to eventually kind of breaking out of that cycle and deciding, no, you know what? I don't need Negan to live. I can live outside of being Negan. And then obviously he makes the move over to Fear the Walking Dead. I haven't actually seen him in Fear the Walking Dead yet. I'm not that far up. But within the main show, he's a good character. He betrays Negan, and he's kind of the reason that the Alexandrian nearly like won the Whisperer War. Savior War, sorry. As characters go, he's good. I quite like him. Next up, we have Enid Beta. Yeah, she's not as bad as these guys, but she's not as good as these two. As characters go, she doesn't have a massive impact past like season 5. Besides, I guess, being the kind of thing that makes Carl grow up, makes Carl get more used to it. And her and Carl obviously have a special relationship that no one will ever top with her. I know there was the Blacksmith down here who tried, but yeah. It's such a shame that Enid died when she did, though. Glenn, S tier. Glenn is easily one of the main characters that shows how the world has changed. He was a pizza delivery guy. He was scared of walkers. He ran from them. And then eventually he was reaching the point where he would take on massive groups of walkers with little to no fear. Like, think when the quarry was coming down, Glenn was there like, I'm going out to help. We need to get Maggie. That sort of thing. And despite Enid saying it wasn't a good idea, it was just, oh god. And when Glenn dies, it was like everyone around the world who watched The Walking Dead was like, shit. Like, Negan means business. Which shows that Glenn was a character that existed for that reason. The Governor. I fucking love the Governor. I think the Governor is one of the best villains they've had. In the sense that the Governor doesn't survive. Negan survives, and he's not massively a villain after he survives, but the Governor is just kind of that pure evil. He burns down Woodbury. He finds a new colony and gets a tank and takes out Alexandria. Not Alexandria, the prison. Then, when he's at the prison, he decapitates Herschel. He destroys the prison. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? He kills Merle. Like, he's such a monster. Like, he's such a good villain. And I kind of wish, if they did a villain again, I want it to be like the Governor. Negan was good, but the Governor was just so much better. Fucking the old leader of Hilltop, whose name has escaped me. It begins with a D, I think. No. Who knows? D tier. This is the first character I'm putting in D tier, because I hate him. He's a ball ache to Maggie, he's a waste of space. And he just doesn't have any kind of emotional attachment to anything. He just wants to survive, which I guess is a good trait, but it could be handled better. Next up, we have Herschel. S tier, yeah, it's gotta be. Herschel is a character, kind of quite a good character, although only being in it for 3 seasons, or like 2 seasons, 2.5. He really shows the development that the characters had. And I think as characters go, although he was only in it a short time, his impact was immense. And when the actor died, he was memorialized with The Walking Dead, which I think is really nice. I think it's a really good way of doing things. Beth is going B tier. I would put her higher based on how she was when she was in the hospital, but before she was in the hospital, she was a pain in the ass. So, yeah, no, I'm good, thank you. Laurie. Yeah, D tier. Laurie's a monster. I'm almost tempted to put her C tier because I don't hate her as much as this guy. But just it's the shit that Laurie does that just annoys me. It winds me up. Like cheating on Rick with Shane despite the fact that she gave up hope on Rick. She was pregnant with Shane's baby. Like, it just, it stresses me out. It does stress me out. That entire story arc. And obviously, when she dies, it's heart-wrenching, particularly for Carl and even Rick. But for the fan base, everyone's like, oh, fuck, yeah, ding dong, the witch is dead. Next up, Maggie, S tier, yeah. Like, S tier Maggie, no doubt. Maggie is such a good character. Just based on the fact that she leads, she knows what she's doing. And she's a badass. Like, Glenn dies, she wants revenge. She wants to kill Negan. She knows she can't, so she leaves. Which is insane. Which is such a, like, ridiculous story arc. And I don't think any characters will ever really beat that. I have done a couple of recordings for this. I can't remember this person's name. I kept calling her Kimiko. I know it's not Kimiko. It's something else. But she's a sick character. Gonna put her in B tier, and I'm actually gonna move Beth down, because I think as characters go, she's new. She's the only one of like the kind of deaf colony, other than the musician, that kind of knows what they're doing, which is really cool. Like it's quite a kind of fresh pace away from what The Walking Dead was doing. But yeah, she's a really good character, and I hope in the coming season she gets a lot more screen time. Morgan, S tier. I've got the most people I have are in S tier. Like, this is insane. Morgan is such a good character. Being the original person to teach Rick about walkers. Being the person that goes from a loving father to a maniac to a calm person back to a maniac, and then kind of in Fear the Walking Dead, I know this is The Walking Dead, but in Fear the Walking Dead, when Nick dies, Morgan feels for him, despite the fact he's only known him like a couple of days, if that. Morgan's the type of character that shows that you can develop throughout The Walking Dead. You can go from sane to a maniac to sane. And, like, we even see Rick do it. But yeah, I really like Morgan. And I kind of wish he had his own spin-off show that wasn't Fear. But he works really well in Fear the Walking Dead, so it's okay. Negan. Ah ha 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 ha. S tier. There's so many in S tier. They're all such good characters. Negan is a badass. The episode... There was a recent episode in Season 10 of Negan's backstory. My god, you see the whole character in, like, an entirely new light. Like, oh my god, he's such a good character. He's, like, in the Savior War, he was a badass. He knew what he was doing. He knew when. He knew where he needed to be. He knew how to lead people. He knew how to get people to like him. He knew how to scare people. But then he got captured. And he kind of did his time. And he comes out of it and he's entirely different. He protects Alexandria. He kills Alpha for Alexandria. Such a good character. I really want to put Jesus in S tier as well, but I feel like I got a lot of people in S tier, so I'm going to put him in A tier. Jesus from the show is a very good character. Again, showing kind of development throughout the series. He goes from like a drifting between colonies, to settling down at a hilltop. Really good character. The only reason he's not an S tier is because I wish he had more of like his ninja moves from like the comics and the game. Because in the comics and the game, he is such a badass. Like, he literally will do flips and kill zombies. It's insane. Rick. S tier. I have so many in S tier, but then again, I guess I've got probably the same amount in the other tiers. Rick is the face of The Walking Dead. It doesn't get any better than Rick because he is that kind of development. Like I said about Morgan, he goes from relatively sane to a maniac and he bites the throat off someone, back to relatively sane. And then he goes manic when Carl dies. Like, Rick has, like, I swear he's got, like, split personality disorder or something. Like, he just loses his shit. But then he only loses his shit when he is trying to protect people. And that's why I really fucking like Rick. Merle. Peter. Merle's not a bad character. I think his time was too short. And I wish he had longer. But at the end of the day, he didn't. And his death is kind of what made Carl, I guess. Not Carl, Daryl. Made Daryl. And losing Merle was kind of a turning point in Daryl's life. Dale, get in the bin. I don't want to explain it. Dale was an ass. He had a moral compass that was too big, and everyone wanted him dead. So yeah. Next up, we have another one of the Savior lieutenants, Simon. Simon was a badass. He was a good villain. He was. And he knew how to scare the hilltop, which is very, very good. Very interesting to look into, actually. He's a monster. But at the same time, he wasn't prepared to let the Saviors lose. And that's what made him as powerful as he is. Next up, we have... what's his name? Tyrese. Tyrese died too quick. I wish he'd been given a bit more runtime. He was used as the kind of death that showed that everyone dies in The Walking Dead. I wish he had more screen time because he was kind of like Herschel. He had a moral compass, but he was a behemoth. He was a big bloke. In the bin. Get in the bin. Tried to betray Alexandria to Negan. Waste of space. Yeah, get in the bin. Not a great character. Bit of a side character. Not a bad character. But just kind of was there. Didn't really do anything. Eventually is the reason Carl gets shot. Had a delinquent son, an abusive husband. Just, waste of space. What's his name? It's gone out of my head. I'm annoyed. A tier. Really good character. There was an episode with him and Jesus recently. Not Jesus, him and Gabriel recently. Which was intense. It was the first episode of The Walking Dead in a long time that made me think, like, fuck, this shit is good. This is intense. The Blacksmith. Again, just kind of exists. Doesn't have a massive part. Just kind of there. I think, depending on how you see the series, I hope there's more in store for him. Because, like I said, he just kind of exists. He doesn't really do a lot. Alpha. I want to put Alpha in S tier. She's going to go in A tier, solely because I don't think she was ever meant to be the real villain, if that makes sense. I think the plan was always to have Beta lead the final confrontation in anger out of Alpha. And when you consider Beta is such a better villain than Alpha, like, you can't help but think that, like, why wasn't Beta the villain all along? But then again, I guess they needed that female villain, that, like, female monster that they hadn't had. Alpha's really good, but as I said, Beta is just so much better. As villains go, Beta is just so much better. Carol. I like Carol. S tier probably, goes from being abused by an abusive husband to becoming a bit more self-dependent, but still relying on the group, to then eventually being fully independent and being able to kill anyone that gets in her way. Like, she knows how to manipulate people. She knows how to control people, but not in the same way as people like Negan, the governor, these sorts of villains. As characters go, she is brilliant. She is the one character I'd say has the most development within the franchise. Next up, we have one of the Death Sisters. Can't remember her name again. So, sorry about that. Yeah, I love, one of my favorite scenes of The Walking Dead, and I said this in the previous recording, was the scene where she was in the corn maze, and you can't hear anything while you're watching it. Which shows how she is in that situation. It's POV as well. Such a good episode. So powerful at showing just kind of how dangerous it is being deaf in this franchise. Daryl, S tier. Daryl is the new face of The Walking Dead since Rick has left. I quite like Daryl. I think Daryl has a lot of development. He goes from being an aggressive drifter to not very wanting interaction with any of the group, just kind of using them for survival, to eventually being the leader of the group. And it doesn't get much better than that, really. Eugene, A tier. I'm going to put him in A tier. I think, again, as characters go, Eugene is he develops so much. He goes from telling people who has a cure when he doesn't, to eventually leaving the group for Negan. Leaving the group for Negan makes him bolder, it makes him braver, more confident, and then he eventually tries to betray Negan. Just such a good character. Like, in terms of knowing what he's doing at all times, he is incredibly smart, and Season 11 story, which obviously we don't know what it is at the moment, relies heavily on Eugene, which is going to be very sick. Ezekiel, A tier. I would put him S tier, but the tiger did die. If he still had the tiger, he'd be S tier. Ezekiel is a very interesting character. He's the leader of the kingdom, but he's battling with cancer, which in a time like this is very rare. I think that as characters go, Ezekiel is probably one of the most scared characters that have been around this long. But he's not necessarily scared of walkers, he's scared of people. But yeah, Jesus. If you'd have told me before Season 9 that I would be putting Jesus in S tier, not Jesus, if I was putting Gabriel in S tier, I would have told you were wrong. Before Season 9, Gabriel was a shit character. He was a wuss. He tried to betray the Rick and his survivors in Alexandria when they first arrived. But since then, he's become a leader. He's come out of his shell. He knows how to lead Alexandria. He helps the people of Alexandria. And like I said, there's the episode with him and this guy, which kind of is that turning point. And I don't know, you can't help but see that he just gets so much better with time. And I really like him. This guy, A tier. I wish I could remember all these guys' names. There's just so many characters in The Walking Dead that you have to remember. He has a battle axe. Like, he's awesome. He's a behemoth. He's a beast. And he knows how to interact with people. He knows how to look after people. He's always trying to do what's right for everyone else. But yeah, a really good character. Judith's going A tier. Judith kind of... The thing I love about Judith is the hat. The hat has been passed from Rick to Carl, and Carl to Judith. And I think that's kind of so important, because the hat was Carl's, and the gun was Rick's. Judith has a piece of the Grimes family with her at all times, which is insane. It doesn't get any better than that for the Grimes family. Alpha's daughter, I feel like it begins with an L. B, yeah, I don't mind her. Yeah, I don't mind her. I think her move away from Alpha was huge, but she didn't get a lot of screen time for it, which is kind of a shame, given you want to see how she develops now. But she's just not going to now. Michonne, S tier. Michonne has a fucking sword. It doesn't get much cooler than that. Michonne and her sword are awesome. She also has one of the creepiest backstories as well. How she used to take her brothers as walkers around with her to protect her. She looked after Andrea. She never trusted the governor and cut his eye out. My God, like Michonne... Just wow, such a good character. Such a good character. And giving birth to RJ as well. Just, my God. Rosita. A tier. I like Rosita. Obviously, she's been through a lot, you know. She lost Abraham. She lost the other guy who is down here. She then lost... Sadiq. She then had a romantic relationship with Gabriel that kind of crumbled. Like, that's 4 things that have gone wrong for her. And she wasn't even in it. She only joined in season 4, so she's only been in it like 6 seasons. And 4 things have gone wrong for her. I feel for her. I do. Sadiq. Fuck Sadiq. I don't like Sadiq. I think the PTSD was an interesting element for them to play on. And it doesn't get much better than that in terms of, like, dealing with, like, a character that has PTSD from the Whisper attack. But Carl died for him, and he died 2 seasons later. What's that about? Like, if Carl dies for a character, I'd expect that character to be in it till the end. Next up, we have Kimiko. I like Kimiko. I do. I think Kimiko is a really interesting character. I can't put her in S tier. I can put her in A tier. I think the thing that she does well is that she knows what's going on. And she kind of knows how to deal with it a bit. She's a banner. She's good with bow and arrow. She obviously, in the recent episodes of season 10, she gets captured. She's not in a good way. And it just kind of gets more interesting. I hope, particularly for this sort of group of, like, Kimiko, this one, and the others, I hope they get a little bit more development in the coming season. Andrea, get in the bin. I don't even need to explain. You're a bitch. You betrayed the group for fucking governor and just die already. Christ. Shane. S tier. I think Shane's a very good villain. I think Shane has that development in that he goes from, like, a protector to just wanting to kill Rick, who was his brother. Like, Shane's death was the turning point where they realized that they could come back without being bit. And when Carl puts Shane down, it's so dramatic. Abraham, A tier. Yeah, I'll put him in A tier. I think Abraham has a lot more room to grow. I kind of wish Abraham did more. I wish he didn't die as quick. But they're talking about bringing him back for a TV series soon that will explore before he died, before he found Eugene. Which would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Tara, you can go B tier actually, Tara. Tara's not a bad character. She was obviously with the governor, didn't like what the governor was doing, so then decided that she would run. And then Glenn found her and Glenn saved her. So I got a lot of time for Tara. This is my final list. Just let everyone know before I finish this episode. We are so close to a thousand subs as of the time of producing this video. So if you guys haven't, please make sure to subscribe and leave a like and comment. It means so much that I've grown this much, particularly on one video that has had like 50,000 views now, which is insane. I never expected that video to get that many views. That video took me 10 hours to make in a single day, and just, oh my god, it's such a good video. It's one of my favorite videos that I've ever made. But yeah, I've also been streaming a lot on Twitch. I started on Twitch before I moved over to YouTube, so if you want to see more content like this, make sure you check out my Twitch, just down here. Link for it will be in the description. Also check out my Twitter in the description, or it will also be here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming along and watching. I now have merch available. If you guys want to get any of the Sailor's Bounty hoodies, literally just pop into my Discord, again, link down below. And just DM me and I'll be able to sort out an order for one for you. Anyway guys, thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out guys.